Today we are doing the Intergalactic Raindrop Nail. That's right, Red Star actually named this. I've promised her this for months now. I didn't forget. She came up with this in the comments and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So I'm finally getting around to doing this tutorial. So thank you, Red Star, for the name. I think it's perfect. Side note, these also really remind me of like the star on the top of a Christmas tree or that crisp, cold, glittery sparkle feel of New Year's. Here's the original video these are from, just as a reminder. And let's get going on the tutorial. This nail is a variation on the Solar Orb Nail. And so the first thing we have to do is cut out our circles in our holographic film. This is just that set that's available everywhere that has the pre-cut out shapes that tend to be too large for everything. I got this from Amazon and I am using the hot pink orange film with the teal flash on it. That is going to get you the correct look on the nail with this color combination. I don't like my shapes to wrinkle on the nail, so that is why I cut out my own shapes. These are leather punch tools. It comes with a little rubber base to mash it against. You don't even need a mallet to do this. You just sort of use a twisting action, but you need to make sure that the oil is cleaned off them because that will sort of stay on the film. This is sort of a medium grade set. You don't need anything this nice, but I do like the 2 to about 6 or 7 millimeter size to fit on the nail and not wrinkle. And you don't have to do this either. This is just one way to do it. You can just cut it out with scissors, and they are also large craft hole punchers, which I will show in a second as well. And really no method is perfect for this super annoying film that is unfortunately so beautiful and captivating on nails. So, you twist it around, you hope that it hits everywhere and it gets a clean circle. A lot of the times it doesn't, and then you either have to twist it around again or then get a little pair of scissors, but at least you are getting a better chance of having a nice perfect circle than just hand cutting it out. Here's the large craft punch, and these also kind of work terrible, but if you do a real sudden slam on it, sometimes it will work. Like this was a rarity that actually all came out when I did that. I was shocked when that worked. But I will show you what typically happens when you use the hole punches, which makes it hard for it to sit on the nail. Do you see how that cups and you sort of get this edge on it? That's super annoying, and you kind of have to go in and sometimes cut it down with sharp, tiny pairs of scissors or something, or get it to glue flat onto the nail. So pick your poison and keep it at around 5-6 millimeters for the large orb on the top. Okay, for the nail, we are starting with a milky white base. I like the Nail Thoughts, which is a Kokoist brand. Their milky base, it's a builder base. Just something that's a sheer white. We cure that, and then the next thing we're going to do is do our foil glue. I use either Makartt nail foil glue. Kokoist has one. They call it foil tack gel, I believe. Either one works. You just have to make sure you cure it for 60 seconds. I'm doing a full even coat on the nail, even though we're only gluing the large orb on right now, just because I don't want an edge in the middle of the nail. After we cure that, we are just going to place the circle and we're just centering it, and just make sure you are leaving plenty of room on top so that we can do all of the line work with the gel afterwards. You don't want to shove it way up at the tip. Now we need to go in and do a full coat of the powder resistant matte by Gaoy. I really like this one. It works really well. I am mainly doing this to seal in the film because it does not like to stay put, even using the foil glue. And even with this, you want to get that on there pretty quick and cure it, because what causes the film to start lifting is wet gel on top of it. It starts to seep under and it starts lifting. And it's a pain when it does it. So just watch out for it and stick it in there and cure it. And the reason I'm using the powder resist matte coat is because we are going to do chrome later. And also I think using a matte coat on top of the film gives it a nicer opal-y feel at the end of all of this, rather than an icy feel. Okay, now it is time for our cat eye. I am using Double Rhythm 1132. If you buy it on its own, it's referred to as Jelly Teal, but it also comes in this really nice set. This is one of my favorite cat eye sets. They're really nice, unusual combos. They're just very pretty and calming. And that purple one is one of my all-time favorites. So that's $11.31. And that one also comes separate, and they are in larger bottles when you buy them separately. And per usual, I'll have all of this listed in the description, and it is always organized by tutorial with a photo in my Amazon storefront, so it's easy to find stuff. This one has really nice, gentle, glowing, peachy mag tones to it, so it's going to get us a really nice, that nice glow to the nail. So we're just going to go paint this around the circle. I don't want to cover that. And for this nail, I want the cat eye pattern to almost look like it's a, I guess, a bull ring, like a ring hanging out of a bull's nostrils, you know, because it's sort of looking like this little nuclear symbol or galaxy thing. I want these sort of to look like they're in orbit together once we get those two smaller jewels on there. So activate it at the top so we get some nice glow there, but then get it so we've got that loop coming around and sort of meeting halfway or in the lower part of the large film. Okay, so for our smaller orbs, we sort of have several options. I like having a brighter limey green, like on the right, on the nail on the right, but you can also just use a bubble mermaid jewel. That's what I used on the right. I used a film. It's from a different set on Amazon. On the left nail, I used the greeny teals from this Mermaid Bubble jewel set. And for the tiniest jewel on the right, I am using a pre-made one because these sets have at least 3 different sizes in them, and the tiniest one is a nice small tiny size actually. I like using the green foil because it's so much brighter, it just pops better on the nail, but it's splitting hairs. It's just my preference. So I'm going to cut a 3mm circle out with my little hole punches. Also, one of the annoying things that can happen when you use these hole punches is that the little circle you just cut out gets stuck in there. So I spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove that just so I could use it. So I would suggest it's good to maybe have a wire that you can bend, because it does have that like relief hole up there that you can stab something into. But all of my tools were just too large to actually pop the little circle out. But in the end, victory was mine. There, look at that. I got that stupid circle out of there. Okay, to glue these last two on, I am just going to use a non-UV semi-solid glue. I won't say gel because it'll get confusing. I just said it, but you get what I mean. I don't want to UV cure it because these aren't clear. It's probably not going to cure all the way. And this stuff dries quick anyway. And then I'm not having to recoat the nail with a bunch of stuff. And this stuff can be a little stringy, so sometimes you just kind of have to, you know, do that kind of thing with the toothpick to get it to detach from itself. And just place it on there within that ring and pat it down just to get the glue to stick well. And then we'll move on to the tiniest jewel. The color is called Coffee. And I think I put these in these containers. I think they came in a bag, but there's several sizes and there's a really good tiny size in there, and they have really good blue flash to them. So we are just going to glue that on again in our little orbit, and we're just sort of doing, you know, an offset triangular feel to these all together as a composition on our nail. And this is what we should have so far. Okay, to prep for what is essentially isolated chrome, we're now going to go back over each of the jewels with the Gaoy powder resist matte coat. You could do the texture first and then go back with this powder resist matte, but we just want to make sure that we're not going to get chrome on our jewel areas. So you can be sloppy about it because the next layer is a texture gel layer. Okay, now we need to go in and do our line work for our starbursts. And the only thing that's new or different about this is we're doing multiple starbursts. So the lines at certain points are going to intersect. You can use the Makartt sculpted gel paint, or Kokoist has their clear accessory bond. That works pretty much the same. Whatever you use, it needs to be a texture gel that is non-wipe because we are putting chrome on this layer. So that means no self-leveling at all. Otherwise, you are just going to fight it the entire time and it is not going to have the same look. I am going to go in and sort of follow the outlines and paint around those because, again, I don't want the texture or the chrome because this is a non-wipe. So this is what the chrome is going to go on. And I don't want the chrome on the jewels. So you have to be a little careful in the application of this to avoid the jewels. If you get it on there, you can wipe it off and then you can go back in with a little bit more of the powder resist matte. It's not that big of a deal. You also do not need a super thick layer of this. Okay, we are not curing that. We are now going to go in with a sharp toothpick and scrape the line work in and remove some of the gel. I like these fancy pants ones from the grocery store. They're bamboo hors d'oeuvre toothpicks. They're a little longer too, so they're kind of nicer to work with. And now we're just going to work our way around the circles. I'm going to start with the large one, and you just want to do super straight lines, and you need to keep that toothpick fairly up and down so that you're getting thin scrape marks in there. And as it starts to get loaded with the gel, wipe it off, because otherwise you're just going to get smeary lines. You're not going to get these crisp striations in it. And you can just keep going over the stuff until you like it. And I'm just going to speed through this because my camera decided to not cooperate and it was focusing on my hand most of the time. But as you get to these tinier ones, you just have to make a decision where you're going to end those lines where they intersect so that they have a nice starburst effect that just run into each other. Okay, and in the end, this is what we should have. We just want those nice, crisp, starburst lines. Now it's time for my absolute favorite chrome in the world, the NailMartUSA Aurora Beam. I have not found anything quite like it yet because this has just the perfect lime greenness to it, where the other ones that are similar just go a little too much to gold for me. This definitely has the gold too, but it saves itself by having that lime green over the gold. So now we're just going in and we're essentially doing isolated chrome, and we are just patting it in, and we want to make sure it's getting into all those little nooks and crannies. Make sure you buff it out with your gloved finger so that you get a nice chrome effect. And you see this chrome also make these cat eyes shine back a pink, so it warms up that cat eye even more in there, and it gives us super cool ethereal quality to it. Now we just need to seal in the chrome and then dome our jewels, and we are done. So I'm using my crappy designated chrome top coat so that I don't mind the sparkles get into it and wreck it. And now I can go over the entire nail. Just go straight over that jewel, and then that blue jewel is done on the right, and then we just need to dome the large one and the smaller one on the left, because those were made of the film. Okay, to dome those last two, you can either use the Kokoist jelly top, because it's a nice thick top meant for 3D work, or the Mizhse like 5D solid. It's a pudding gel. Basically, it's the very slowly self-leveling gels that's thicker. And I'm going to use that just because it's in a little tube, even though it is still kind of a pain to use, because again, this is stringy as well. So you just kind of have to mush it to get the outline, kind of wrap it in a circle to not get it everywhere on the nail. And then a lot of times you just want to clean up your line on the border just so you are getting a nice circular shape. And so I will just take the little toothpick and fix up my edges. And you can cure that just so you don't end up messing it up. And now we're going to do the large orb at the top. And this, you just kind of have to smush a lot. You kind of have to press it to get it to move to the edge you want it to. And you might have to, do this in 2 different tries. Do the first layer and then go back in. And I like to hold this upside down because it's such a large orb at different angles to make sure that gravity is pushing it so that the dome is centered over the film. And just to show, that is all the height I'm even doing on my dome. You can do it a little higher if you want. If you do it taller than that, you might want to cure it at this level, then go back in, put another layer over it, and cure that a second time. If you want, you can do a top coat. Like my 2 favorites right now kind of are the zombie top coat for a thicker one, and then this View Gel is great for a thin top coat. But it's really not necessary on this nail because everything is already sealed in. So there we have it, our Intergalactic Raindrop Nail. We've got that really nice blushy, peachy cat eye effect because of the Aurora Beam chrome on there. And it just has so much sparkle, and we get that Aurora mermaidy effect with the holographic film. Just such great color combos in there. Okay, we are done. Thanks for watching.